So CoSpace is my baby. It is a co-working and content creation studio here in Miami Gardens. And it's just a dope place to work. It's a very black space. Everybody's welcome, but you're in a black space.
It is black.
Unapologetically black space, which I love. We need more of that. People come here to co-work, have meetings, record content, record podcasts. We have an art studio which features super dope black artists. We offer monthly memberships, day passes, we have events here, workshops here, we offer business addresses, we offer content creation services. Pretty much it is a hub for black business owners.
My friends, welcome back to the Smokey Mirror Podcast, where we dive deep into the creative minds that are shaping our culture and inspiring us all. My name is Jordan Jones, I'm your host and fellow creator, and I'm on a mission to spread knowledge and inspiration to help people like you leave your mark on the world. From artists to musicians to entrepreneurs and more, join me as we explore the intentional act of creation and the forces that drive us to do God's work. As always, please check out our sponsors, the #1 up-and-coming streetwear brand, www.scut.shop, and, of course, our supplement sponsor, www.earthsaliva.com. Taste Earth's wisdom. Today, we are at the CoSpace in their podcast studio with the owner, Joy.
Yo!
What's up, Joy?
Hey!
So, I was introduced to you by Calvin. Shout out to Calvin Early Speaks.
Hey, Calvin.
He told me about this really dope place where I could record the podcast. And this was right after I was exiting out of the studio, getting my own equipment. And so, this is actually my first time coming here, but I'm honestly ashamed to say that because it's honestly beautiful in here. The space is amazing. It smells great. And I'm honestly really impressed with what you've done over here, Joy. So I'm excited to get into it.
Thank you. So happy to have you here. Welcome to CoSpace.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you have a great energy. I mean, you've been making videos and your smile's contagious and you just look really sweet. Like, you're the kind of person that I would want to work around. So I'm really curious as to, like, why did you open the CoSpace?
I have a whole story. So during the pandemic, I was still working in corporate America, and I was pregnant, and I'm a cancer survivor. Yay.
Wow. What kind of cancer?
I had lymphoma, and
Wow.
not the easy one. I had the one that most people don't survive.
Wow.
So yeah. So
shout out to you.
I already have a compromised immune system.
Wait. Keep going. Keep talking. Let me just start this other one. You got a compromised immune system.
So I have a compromised immune system, and I was pregnant. So at the time, my boss told me to just go ahead and go home and work from home until he figured out what was going on with the pandemic, which was very nice. And so working at home was lit. Like, the first week or so, it was the best thing ever. I loved it. And then it got old really fast.
Yeah.
So there'll be days where it's like 7:30, you're still working because you're just in this groove. And then there's days where it's like the middle of the day and you're taking a nap because you forgot that you're at work. And once it was safe to go outside again, I knew that I wanted to remain remote, but I also knew that I couldn't stay in the house. Like, I needed to get out the house. So I would try to find co-working studios. And in Miami, you have to go to Wynwood and try your luck. And I would go places and feel tolerated versus appreciated. And we know that vibe. So at that point, I would do that thing where, like, well, you ain't got to worry about me. That bad energy.
Right.
But then you'd end up back at home. And so then there'll be times where I would go to, like, the Starbucks, the black-owned Starbucks over here in Miami Gardens. But sometimes it's noisy, or sometimes it's just there's conversations that you really don't want to have in a setting like that, which is no fault of them. So one day I was driving home, and I just had this moment of clarity, like this moment of joy. You know exactly what you're looking for. It doesn't exist. You need to create it. And I just remember sitting there saying, okay, I received that message. And I started writing down things, and I really just made a business plan. I spoke with my husband, and it started moving.
Wow.
Things started coming into place.
I love how you said, like, it just came to you. I feel like that's really how it is. It's just a thought pops up in your head. You're like, I don't even know where that came from. But it's something that I've been thinking about, and it's something I need to take action on.
And you have to listen.
Yeah,
so many times our brain has so much going on, and we're swatting things out the way. But when you have those moments of clarity, you have to be still in it. Like, we have to just sit with it, get to know it, let us take his shoes off. Like, just sit with that moment and really fill the whole thing out.
Wow. So what industry were you in? Or are you still working for that company?
No,
right? You're a business owner now.
Yeah. I took the leap, and I just jumped out the plane.
What industry was that? Were you working in?
So I was a manager working with one of the major credit card brands, and I was supporting the executive office. So it was very stressful.
I bet.
More stressful than it needed to be, but it was a great company. So it's not like anything was wrong with the company. Like, even when I was leaving, I told them, there's nothing wrong with y'all, it's all me. But I just, once you have that fire in you, you can't keep putting it out every day while you're cosplaying as a you know, corporate America person.
True.
So
that's so true. I had there's a pastor, Pastor Rich at Vue Church, shout out to him. He said, if you can't stop thinking about it, don't stop working towards it. And that is really true.
That is
Sometimes
really true.
You get that on your spirit, and it's like, all right, if this keeps popping up in my head, it's
you
time.
gotta go with it.
I gotta
There's
take some action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what I'm wondering. What was it like, that transition period where you're like, all right, I have my job, I had this idea, like, I'm sure it was scary. I'm sure you were wondering.
Scary, tough.
Yeah, and you were pregnant at the time, right?
Well,
or you had the baby?
I already had the baby. He was already out in the world.
Okay, great.
By the time I left, I just remember having this moment of thinking, like, I'm at this fork in the road, and I can keep putting my dreams on hold to support somebody else's dream, or I can take this chance and take these skills that I've developed 20 plus years in corporate America and just take a chance on myself.
Wow.
And I have this thing I tell people all the time, that if you really think about it, you have survived 100% of the things that have probably tried to destroy you so far. You're still here.
That's true.
Right? So the odds are actually in your favor to be wildly successful, because so far nothing has worked that has been sent to destroy you.
Wow.
Right? So if you really think about it, put in that perspective, what it makes there's just do it. Like, it's so unlikely you're gonna fail when you really think about it. So I had that little pep talk with myself, and I was like, Joy, do it. Take the leap. You'll figure it out in a way. And if for any reason it doesn't go the way you plan, you've learned something and you're gonna survive. And I have a really big faith in my ability to survive things. So growing up in Liberty City, being a cancer survivor, just existing as a black person in America, we survive. We survive every day. So why wouldn't I survive this? If it works, great. And if it doesn't, I'll be okay.
Yeah, you had the track record of already going through tough things. You're like, this is nothing.
This is nothing.
I had a kid, beat cancer, all of that.
Yeah.
I do kind of want to touch on that, though, because that seems like something you just, beat cancer, whatever. Like, whatever. Like, I did the Wordle for the day. What was that like? Like, how did you keep the mental mindset to be, like, positive, you know?
Oh, it's easier thinking about it now than it was in the moment.
Sure.
But for me, it's that same mindset of just believing that I'm going to survive. If you tell yourself something and you kind of speak that with authority, 9 times out of 10, the universe is going to listen, like, oh, she seems like she's onto something.
Right.
So yeah, and I have a great support system, my husband, my sister, my friends, my family. And I remember this, so let me tell you. So when you're getting a certain type of chemo, you have to be on a very strict schedule. So the exact same time, the exact same thing, every day, however often your schedule is. So you typically see the same people, because if you're on a schedule, then they're on the same schedule.
Right.
And there was this young man that was coming every day with his mom, and we were on the same schedule because we would always get there at the same time. So I remember one day I was coming in, and I didn't see the young man. So I saw his mom. So I was like, hey, you're running late, like, just being funny. And she was crying. Her eyes were red. And you could already do the math. If he's not with her and she's with red eyes, I already knew that he hadn't survived, you know? And I just remember in that moment, I was like, wow, like, this is real. You know, people die. And my doctor had already told me I probably wasn't going to survive, you know? And then seeing the person on the same plan as me not survive, that was that moment of like, oh, okay, like, it was not a joke. Like, there was no LOL. Like, he was so serious. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I'm going to make it. Like, I'm going to make it. I have decided I'm going to survive. I'm going to beat this thing. And I don't know how, you know. He's a well-renowned doctor. I'm sure he knows his stuff, but I'm going to prove him wrong somehow this time.
Nice.
And here I am.
And how long ago was that?
Ooh, maybe 11 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Are you, like, in remission, or how does that go?
So I'm in remission.
Nice.
And at first, I had to go every month, then every 3 months, then every 6 months, then once a year. And now I'm at the point where my doctor was like, you don't have to come at all unless something is wrong. So,
Congratulations on that. That's incredible. I love to hear that story. I literally just did an interview with a young guy. He's 24. He had brain cancer. And in 2020, they gave him 6 months to live, but clearly that's not 2020 anymore. So, I love to hear that. I feel like cancer does touch a lot of people, and it's great to hear stories of people who just overcome it. Despite the medical prognosis. Yeah.
It's not easy, but people are doing it. It's just mindset is so important. Mm-hmm. Your diet is so important. But honestly, when we decide things, our body, the universe, everything listens.
Yep.
So sometimes you have people who are just so negative, and you have the right to be. I'm not telling you can't, but just keep in mind your body's listening.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that I mean, you're not the first person to say it on the podcast. I want to keep on reiterating it, though, because it's like, that's an idea that sounds kind of like mumbo jumbo, like what are you talking about?
It sounds crazy, yeah.
But it's true. Like your subconscious and like the things you feed your mind, it really like affects your reality.
Yes, it's listening and it wants you to be right.
Yeah, exactly. No.
So whatever you say,
right
it's like,
or wrong,
okay.
Yeah, good or bad, it wants you to be right.
It wants you to be right.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's crazy. So yeah, I can't say it enough. Even if you're thinking something negative, don't say it out loud. Just try not. You don't have to be positive. Just don't be negative. That's what I tell people.
But you know what it is when it comes to not being negative. I encourage people to see the thought all the way through. So I had a business consultation. We do business consultations here too.
Nice.
And I was meeting with a woman who was starting her third business venture. And she was telling me all the reasons why her other things failed and how she's just probably not going to do it, but she's going to just see how long she can make it last. So I told her, I said, okay, well, tell me one of the thoughts that's telling you why you're not going to make it. And she would just say, because nobody's interested in motivational journals. So I'm like, okay, why not? And she's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, what's the rest of the thought?
Right.
So it's like you don't even have providing facts of why they're not interested. You just know they're not, and you've given up on the thought.
Right.
But if I told you, yes, they are, you'd ask me for proof. So the negative thoughts, we ask for no proof, no validation. We just like, yep, you said it, homie, I believe you. So it's like, no, push back the same way you would if somebody was telling you something you want to hear. And I find that when you do that with those obtrusive thoughts, they usually don't hold water.
Yeah.
So they're not used to having to explain why they're negative. They be negative and we believe them.
Right.
So challenging those thoughts, really finishing the sentence and seeing, is there any proof to this? Is there any validity to this? There usually isn't, and giving it that extra thought sometimes vanquishes the negative thought.
That's a great point. I've told people, like, you don't associate or don't identify with every thought that you have.
Yeah.
But the way you laid it out is perfect. It's like, yeah, your mind will. It's almost like you gotta be able to dissociate from your thoughts and you. It's like you can pick which thoughts you identify with and say, like, yeah, that's real for me or not.
Yeah.
Because like you said, a lot of times it just comes from preconceived notions we've had from being children, fears that we've had, and all of a sudden, it tells us something, and you believe it blindly. But immediately, like, oh, if I'm thinking in my head, it must be true. Like, no, not everything you think is true. Push back a little bit, and you're like, wait.
Finish the thought and see where it goes. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to come out not only realizing the negative thought was lying to you, but also you're going to come out with proof that you can actually do what you said you were going to do.
Yep. And that's what I needed when I was kind of getting on my journey of really believing in myself that I could do whatever it is I wanted to do. I needed, like, to prove it to myself. Because apparently I didn't want to just go out on a limb and say, oh, like, I guess I can do it. Like, I really wanted proof. And, like, the more I looked into it, the more evidence I had where, like, possibility is infinite. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do whatever it is. So let me just figure out what it is I want to do, and then I can do it.
And just do it.
Wow. That's cool. Let's talk more about the CoSpace and what you offer, how it works, so people can get an idea of what it is.
So CoSpace is my baby. It is a co-working and content creation studio here in Miami Gardens. And it's just a dope place to work. It's a very black space. Everybody's welcome, but you're in a black space.
It is black.
Unapologetically black space, which I love. We need more of that. People come here to co-work, have meetings, record content, record podcasts. We have an art studio which features super dope black artists. We offer monthly memberships, day passes. We have events here, workshops here. We offer business addresses. We offer content creation services. pretty much it is a hub for Black business owners.
Very nice. I like that business address part. I didn't even know about that.
Absolutely.
That's really nice.
So many people, and everyone probably has similar issues, but I want to focus on Black entrepreneurs. Oftentimes we're priced out of things, you know. We're priced out of the good working spaces, out of podcast studios, out of things where creativity is allowed to happen. And oftentimes, because we're often outnumbered or in spaces where we're not comfortable, we're so busy on alert and on high security that we can't even have the moment to take a breath to be creative. You know, if you think about the rich, they're often buying arts and turning to the arts because all their needs are met.
Right.
And as Black people, we often don't have that luxury of just focusing on one thing at a time. So sometimes people come here and they can just turn their brain off and just work. And it's such a great feeling that's denied to so many Black people, just to be off, you know, or only on one thing at a time. So I have a lot of people who will come here and just work, listen to the music. I have artists who come here to draw. I have people who have given up their office spaces because a monthly membership here is cheaper. Nice. They use the virtual address. They have all their meetings here, and they love that it's a vibe. That's the biggest thing, is it's a vibe. I'm really big on changing what professional means. So for so long, professional meant the white version of things, right? You know, like locks were not professional. And it's like, I'm a professional and this is my hair, so make that work, right? So in here, we listen to Black music, we vibe, we have fun, we have good conversations, come as you are. But we're professional because we all have businesses. There's so many different business owners and business represented here at CoSpace, and we don't have to be whitewashed or code switched to do it.
I love that. I mean, I think, first of all, having a space where you can record a podcast like this is huge to me. Whenever people ask me about starting a podcast, I'm like, one of the first things I did was I found a studio to get into.
You have to.
And yeah, this is way more affordably priced than any studio that I've seen. So I think this is great for people to just get started.
Absolutely.
Record a podcast, even if you're not a podcaster.
By design. Sometimes you have people who have this idea in their head of a podcast they want to do, or a vlog they want to do, or a video module like to sell.
Yeah.
But the investment, the upfront investment of the equipment, the space, is just, it's too much. Yeah. So what do? They just bow out and they never even see the idea through. Today I had a content creator come in here and record an entire 8-module e-course that she's going to launch next Friday for Black Friday. And she made it here in one day, and she's probably going to sell this for who knows how long. Forever. Yeah, years. And she's super dope. So the content is going to be really good. And without a space like this, she probably would have abandoned the idea. You know?
I mean, that's so powerful. Yeah, that right there is huge. The space out there and having it so that kind of redefining professional, I think that's important too. You have it here in Miami Gardens, which is right in the heart of our community.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for people to kind of get whenever you think professionalism and all that, it's like, oh, that's not for me.
Watered down.
Yeah. And it's like, now it's like, no, like we can redefine what it is. And especially now that we have work from home, it's like, yeah, I be taking meetings. I have a nice shirt on and shorts on the bottom.
Right,
you know? It's like we can evolve and change things for how we want it to be. And I think that's nice. And like you said, it's Black, but it's not for everybody. I feel like with Black spaces, what I realized is really authentic. You don't have to feel like you have to be anybody else, or
you can drop your shoulders.
Yeah, and you can just be whoever you want to be, and that's the best feeling. Like you don't have to act a certain way. No one's really checking for you or judging you. Nobody cares. I mean, they might look at your shoes, but but that's the younger generation, not everybody.
But it's funny because the only rule at CoSpace is pass the vibe check. So someone had pointed out that all the other businesses here have signs on the door that says bathroom for customers only. And so they asked me, what if somebody want to come in here and use the bathroom? And I said, as long as they pass the vibe check, I'm not going to stand between them and a healthy bladder. Like, come pee, dog. Like, it's cool. Just the only rule is pass the vibe check.
Pass the vibe check.
That's it. That's the only rule here at CoSpace.
Yeah, that's important because you can tell when people are a little shiesty. Like,
pass the vibe check. That is the only rule here.
Wow.
And so far, everybody gets it. Once they come through those doors, they pass the vibe check. And it's funny because I have people who wander in and not pass the vibe check, the preliminary vibe check, and sometimes they see themselves out. I never have to do anything.
They just go ahead and leave.
They feel it's not for them.
Yeah.
The answers are just like, duh.
I really think that's all about frequencies and vibrations.
Absolutely.
You know, you're vibing on a certain frequency, it doesn't work, you're going to be repelled.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not with it. No, that's good though, because we want people who aren't gonna contribute in a positive way to hit the door for sure.
Yes, and we feed off each other's energy. So to me, the vibe is so important, and it's funny because vibe is one of those things that people don't really understand it, but when you come into co-space, you're like, that is the vibe that you were mentioning.
Right.
So the vibe is so important, and it plays such an important part in being able to work and to be comfortable and to be creative. So many people will come here and tell me this is the most productive day they've ever had. And there's a reason. There's a science behind it. It's truly just that release of energy. And that feeling of you belong here, you're not outnumbered, you're around friends, and you can really just exist, have a good time, and then just focus on you. And when you're done, you close your laptop, you go home.
That's lovely. I mean, what you made is really beautiful. What did your husband say? Like, what was his support, family? Like, what was their thoughts?
So my husband is probably the smartest man I've ever met. He's brilliant, and he's an accountant. He's a numbers guy.
That's great.
So
great to have that on your side.
Yes. So his question was, okay, how does the numbers going to work? How are you going to pay for this? Because, you know, people may not get it right away in our community. You may not have a big following. So make sure you have enough money to fund, you know, a couple of months, but you thought of everything else, pop off. And once he gave me that green light, I would have walked right through a wall. Like, I knew I could do it, you know? So very supportive. And it makes such a big difference, because when you have that partner or your friends and family and you don't have their support, now those negative thoughts are like times 10, you know? So when you have someone who's going to pour into you and always say, like, how can we make this work? How can I help you? That's it. Yeah, the sky's the limit.
Man, that's amazing. That's amazing. So how old is the space? When did you officially open?
So we did a soft open in February, this February, and then we had our grand opening on May 1st. And it's funny because I had money saved up to pay the bills and everything, and after our grand opening on May 1st, the bills have been paid. We've always had enough memberships, enough events, everything. I have actually been able to just relax a little bit and not have that fear of like we're not gonna make it, because the community has showed up and showed out every month.
That's awesome. Wow. Is it like just memberships? Memberships,
events, just purchase. We sell shirts, we sell content, like content calendars and things like that. And everything I put out there, the members try. Wow. They buy it, they give it a little test drive, and the support is crazy. I love it.
That's great. I love that. I want to see this place thrive for sure. That's why when I seen you working on, so I was already supposed to be coming out here, but you know how I am, things get, put off and things happen. And I'm not going to lie, it wasn't like it was down the street, okay? I live in Pembroke. It's a little, 30 minutes
That's still down the street.
It's down the street. It's close enough. But I wanted to come here because I saw you going crazy on content creation, like with the reels on Instagram. Talk to me a little bit about that. Like, was it tough getting into content creation mode? It seems kind of natural for you.
Thank you. I think it was just a decision of, I know it's effective, I know it works, and I found a way to make it me. Yeah. So when I do content creation consultations with clients, and they say things like, I don't want to show my face, most people will tell them, get over it. I would never tell them that, because it has to be authentic to you or you're not going to keep it up. Right. So same thing with me. I found ways that work for me, so you're not going to see me dancing on TikTok because I can't dance. I can't. But you'll see me, showing my personality and doing things that feels good to me. Yeah. So if you're in that place where you feel like content is getting away from you or it's beating you up, find something that you enjoy doing that's not hurting you and just really lean into it. Because honestly, when it comes to Instagram, social media, people really want that connection. There's so much perfection out there that people really just want to feel like they know you for you. And so, the absence of perfection is more of a flex than having this perfectly aesthetically pleasing timeline.
I agree. I think authenticity is something you can just feel. Like
yes.
even when I'm watching other people's content, I'm like, oh, this is some fake bullshit.
Right, and you just scroll over. Yeah, you don't really want to see it.
But people really are connected to the real, and they want to see the real journey. I mean, from watching the videos, you're like the same in person than you are on the videos. I'm like, she just seems like a really happy person, real upbeat, energetic. Yep, we're like 7:30, almost 8 o'clock. I'm sure you've been here like 6 a.m. So I don't know where you get the energy from. My stepmom is the same way. It's like no matter what, always energetic. 6 a.m. to 4 a.m.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, for me, like I told you with my cancer journey, my doctor looked me in the face and told me I wasn't going to make it. So every day since that day is borrowed time, so to speak. So I'm lit. Like,
right.
every day.
We extra credit. Right. Like everything is extra.
Right. It's like back in the day we used to be in the club and on daylight saving time, I get the extra
hour. Yeah, we just
gonna turn up. Like, you got an extra hour. So I feel like that about every day, every hour, every month, every year. It's like,
that's awesome.
Why would you not be lit? You could have been dead a month ago.
Facts. And you know what? I was telling the last guy I mentioned with the brain cancer, I was like, it's crazy that you have that perspective, because it's like, you get cancer, you're more aware of that you're going to die. But we all know we're going to die, and tomorrow's never guaranteed. Why don't we treat every day like
random ways to die?
So many random ways, and it can happen fast.
Right. So really change your perspective. Like every day we lit. I think Barack Obama said that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Right,
Google the quote.
Or Nelson Mandela.
Somebody's quoted
like
saying every day we lit, and that should be like get that tattooed on your thigh.
Yeah, every day you're alive, it's like, why not?
Why not?
And why not go for it? Like, go for that voice in your head that's telling you to open the code space. Listen to it.
Listen to it. People are doing more with less. I remember when I was pregnant and I was talking to my doula and telling her like my birth plan, and she was like, "Are you sure? A lot of people abandon the birth plan, da da da." And I was like, "Girl, crackheads give birth in an alley every day, so if they could do it, I can do it."
Right.
So people do way more with way less. So that's your sign.
That's so
believe
funny.
in yourself.
Wait, what's a doula?
A doula.
I've never heard of a doula.
So a doula is like your birth advocate. So especially as a black person, black woman, you want to have somebody there who knows the ropes, knows the law, and is there just to support you and help you. So when I got pregnant, I knew I wanted a doula. There's doulas, there's death doulas. It's a whole thing of just people who are here to support you.
Wow.
And so I was pregnant during the pandemic. So it was really, really important to have an advocate, because a lot of times they weren't letting anybody else in the room with you. So, yes. So if you're pregnant, or, if you know you're dying, I guess, but get you a doula. There's birth doulas and death doulas, and I encourage both. Get you a doula.
That's great. Is it like holistic or natural, or like how does that work?
Typically they are. They're going to give you more options and any support you need, because even if you want to do everything else traditionally, they're still going to be there to support you. So
beautiful.
Yeah, doulas are a beautiful thing, especially for black women.
Awesome. All right, I have another question. This kind of has to do more on the business side. Are you gonna franchise this out? Like, do you want to grow it, or what? You have to cross your mind eventually.
It does. It does cross my mind, and I spent a lot of time working on the business model so I could scale one day. So I'll never count it out. But I will say that people could work from anywhere. Right? So people choose to work here because it's a community. So I've noticed that a lot of my members could do their job anywhere, and they choose to come here and pay me to sit in this space because the vibe, the community. So when the day comes where I am able to expand, my most important thing is to build that community wherever the next co-space should be. So that's a non-negotiable. If I'm in a space and I don't feel like I can build that community, it's not going to work.
Yeah, it won't work.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I love that. I mean, I think community is so important. That's what makes you feel supported. It gives you people to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
And I really do believe that, like, we're social creatures. That's why that pandemic, having everybody in the house, that was like one of the worst things you could do. Is have us all locked up, cooped up, not seeing each other. Like, that's not healthy. All of us scrolling on the phone. We're connected.
Yeah.
But are we really having those genuine connections?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
we need the connections.
We made it that far. See, like that 30
you
minutes.
did.
30 minutes happens fast. That's why I'm at least 30 minutes.
You're
Sheesh.
right. Look at that, time flies.
This is another thing I wanted to just point out. if you've been watching my podcast, you know that shit is never perfect. I don't have my trademark glasses on today. Obviously, the cameras and everything have been folding. But all that shit, it doesn't matter. As long as you get the shit done and finished, that's all that matters. You know what I mean? And I feel like that right there, the perfection of it all, that had me and my partners like
throw it away.
Paralyzed.
Yeah. And it's by design. Sometimes I often think about like who benefits from us always doubting ourselves or always just trying to wait for something to be better when you have people out there doing, you know, like I said, doing more with less. So sometimes you have to stop and think like, who would benefit from this? Like, why do I feel this doubt? Who's putting this doubt on me? And then, you know,
that's a great
do it anyway.
Who would benefit from this? I think we gotta ask that question about more things. A
lot of things.
There's so many things where if you just ask that question, you might turn into a conspiracy theorist because it's like, who's really benefiting from this? It's not us.
It's not us. For sure, that is definitely it's not us, but it's worth thinking about.
It's worth thinking about
because so much doubt is poured into us, and sometimes you have to stop and think about where is it coming from.
Yeah, exactly. It's something you learned. It's something usually from either society, the culture, subconsciously. You don't even do it on purpose.
Yeah.
I used to be a teacher. Could you imagine?
No, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
A little.
I used to be a middle school math teacher. I taught at Brownsville.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
I went to Olinda.
Oh.
Right down the street.
Yeah, that is nice. How about that? Imagine me being your teacher.
That's dope.
Yeah, I know, right? It was dope.
Love that.
But one of the things that really made me discouraged was like the kids wouldn't even try. You know? And it's because they've had years of, I can't do it. Yeah. Then they would try and be like, oh, that was easy.
Yes.
And that right there hit me hard. I'm like, man, how many people, me included, are saying something's really hard or I can't do it when you really just didn't even give it a try. You didn't even give it a try.
Yes.
That's where that community comes in, having people that you can look up to.
And seeing other people who look like you that have done it.
Doing it.
Yes, yes.
And that's another reason why I wanted to do the podcast. Like, let me just show you people who are doing it. I mean, I feel like you're the first Black person I met with a co-working space.
There's not a lot of us.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of us.
I think you're ahead of the curve a little bit. I think this is a relatively new thing, especially with the content portion in there. You're definitely ahead of the curve, but I could see this being a big thing, and I'm glad that you're already in it. This is great.
Thank you. Even when I started this, a lot of times when I would explain the concept, people would be like, huh?
Yeah.
And they would let me get this whole spiel out, and they would be like,
what?
So we just going there to work? And I would be like, well, when you say it in that tone, it sounds stupid.
Yeah. Right, when you say it like that, it sounds dumb. But
when you say anything like that, it sounds dumb. But yeah, it is a concept that the more people understand it, especially Black people, the more they like it, the more they want to lean into it. But there's a lot of room for Black creatives, and we need it because outside of CoSpace, there's not a lot of places where you can be Black and be productive and be creative and be safe.
Exactly. Productive and safe. Yeah. I mean, that's you gotta have like a speed dating thing or some shit. This is where I want to meet. I want to meet people in an environment like this, not at the club.
You know how many times people come here and meet friends, business partners. I have 2 people who have never met outside of here, and now they work out together every day. I think they're going to start a business venture together.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so like people genuinely meet people here because you get to relax and you're just in a nice, calm environment. And typically when you walk in, I'm introducing you to people. I'm really good about breaking the ice because I know we have that people who want to talk to people, but they don't really want to talk to people.
Yeah.
So oftentimes I'm doing that for you, like connecting you.
That's huge because I think that's one of people's biggest fears is going out in public. It's like, oh, I'm not gonna know anybody.
Yes.
Oh, I'm scared. That's really huge.
Yeah.
I love that.
So even like tomorrow, so November is National Entrepreneurship Month. For those who don't know,
I did not know.
It's actually something that Obama created before he left.
Okay,
so,
Obama.
Go Obama. So yes. So but don't tell white people or they won't celebrate. But yes. November is National Entrepreneurship Month, and for the month, I have a lot of different events and activities and offerings made for Black entrepreneurs.
Cool.
So it's funny because, like in corporate America, you might have Employee Appreciation Day, you get your gold star, but as an entrepreneur, you're not really getting much but bills and receipts, you know?
And stress, and headaches.
So I wanted to create something where it's like we can celebrate entrepreneurs. You can come in here and just feel like, oh, you know. So tomorrow we're having a mentor matching event. It's already sold out, but I'm going to do it again sometime next year. We're going to have a free co-working day on Tuesday, November 21st. Free massages, free co-working, snacks. Different businesses are going to come by with giveaways all day, so that's always a vibe. We're going to have a shopping vendors market on the 25th. It's just a lot of different activities to celebrate entrepreneurs. So if you're an entrepreneur, tap in.
Nice.
Take
Yeah,
advantage.
I'm gonna need to tap into that. I was even looking at that mentoring thing. I had some questions. How does it work? Like, is it like you just pairing people together? I am curious because I definitely need a mentor.
I'm going to tell you about it. So I mentioned earlier I do business consultations, and every time I would ask a business owner about their mentor, they would often tell me they don't have one. And when I said, why not? It's not that they're against it, they're just afraid to ask. Right. Or they don't know who would be the best mentor. So I'm really big on mentorship. Like, especially as Black people, we need mentors, especially ones who look like us. So the wheels started turning. What can I do to bridge this gap and find a way to connect people, to get people mentors, but I can do the heavy lifting to take it off take it off the plate for people who are just overwhelmed by the thought of it.
Yeah.
So then the idea of Protege, which is the name of the event, was brought to life in my head. So basically, I asked the community, who do y'all want as your mentor? Let's start there. And when they throw those names out to me, I went to each person and slid in their DM, explained the event, and everyone I asked said yes.
Wow.
Almost everybody.
Amazing.
We got 10 mentors, easy. So now I put it back out to the community. Okay, who wants to come? So they started RSVPing, and basically, here's the setup. The mentors are going to be sitting here like speed dating, and I've given everyone who signed up all the mentors' bios, so you can kind of do a little homework. And you're not required to go to each station. You can find who you want. You can go wait in line for them, or you can move around, whatever you want. But every 5 minutes, you're going to get up and move to somewhere else. Now, after you've had a chance to connect with that mentor, at the end, they're going to come back and tell you if they've matched with you.
Cool.
So if you pick someone who picked you, you got to match and give a mentor. And then the fun starts. So now, after you've been matched, I'm creating a 3-month program for you to follow so you know what to do. Nice. Because oftentimes you get the mentor and now you're like, what do we do now, right? So with this very detailed, guided program, it's going to tell you how often you should meet, what you should talk about. Here's some examples of goal setting. Here's some activities you can do. Here's some ways that you can shadow your mentor. Like, just, it is a very intensive guide that you can use if you need it. Nice. If you have your own plan, pop off. But if you don't know what to do, at least you know you can follow this cohort.
Very nice.
Yes.
That's great. That's something you could sell, too, as a digital product.
Probably, yeah.
People definitely, one thing I've to like teach people how to be a good mentee, like follow up with the people that you're interested in, you know
That's
what I'm saying?
That's the bulk of it.
Let them know what you're doing. A lot of times it's like people be embarrassed, or it's like, oh, I do need help, but I don't want to bother them. Because usually it's a person of high status as your mentor.
Yeah.
So that's huge, having that program. That's really great.
I'm really proud of it. So we've already sold out, which I'm really excited about. And I'm going to do it again, as promised. But I really am excited to see everything play out, to see how it goes on Wednesday, and to kind of see the mentees flourish through this program, get some testimonies of what worked for them, and kind of see some good success stories.
Yeah. Take
the lessons learned and bring it back maybe in April.
That's awesome.
Yay.
Yeah, that's going to be, man, I think that's going to be something that gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
I think so too.
People are going to be like, I want to mentee somebody, and vice versa. Like,
so far, I've already had 3 really dope leaders who I wouldn't even imagine would have even knew I exist. And they have reached out to me and said, hey, I've heard you're looking for mentors. And I was like,
that's
like,
awesome.
You know I exist?
And the event didn't even happen yet, so that's great. That's great.
Yes.
Nice. Man, I'm really happy to hear about all that success. Tell me about the thing on the 25th.
So on the 25th, we have an event called Black Card, and it's something that I really love. We've done it once before, where basically I find Black non-store retailers, vendors, and they set up shop in here. And so sometimes you have like vendors or people who sell things online, and you want to touch it and feel it,
right? But
because they don't have a storefront, they miss you, you miss them, right? So through Black Card, they can come here. It's nothing but dope Black vendors, and you can get that hands-on experience with them, with their product. You can meet them in real life, and they don't have the commitment of a storefront, and you don't have the commitment of paying for shipping, and you can get to really just get to know them and support Black businesses and get some really good deals.
Amazing.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, I have a clothing brand, so I might need to tap in.
Come on, tap in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That would be great. Man, this is awesome. What you're doing with the space is incredible. I think this is great. I just want to give you all the flowers I can, because, I mean, this is just great. I love the space. It smells good. I can't get over the smell. Like,
So it's cactus flower oil. I don't gatekeep anything. So cactus flower oil is really good because it cleans the air, and it's a neutralizing smell.
Wow.
So yeah, so oftentimes people really like the smell because it's the absence of a fragrance, and that's what you're enjoying. You're enjoying clean air.
Clean air.
Which is such a rare treat.
Especially in Miami, all right?
Yeah,
like, wow.
So that's why people, it's funny because in the reviews, people often say it smells really
smells
good.
Great.
And I always tell them it's cactus flower oil. And don't even buy like a perfume, like literally buy cactus flower oil in a big ugly bottle and put it in a diffuser. And that's exactly what you're smelling. It's going to clean the air.
So wait, is it in that little thing with the flowers on
it? It is, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I have one there, one in the bathroom, one in the front.
Wow. See, not only are you bringing expertise, but you're not gatekeeping it either.
At all.
That's incredible. You have so many people that don't gatekeep a restaurant from you. Imagine.
How can the restaurant stay open if you don't tell nobody?
That's what I'm saying.
Just you and the chef eating and looking at each other.
See, you need to be on Twitter because that's what people need to hear. This is crazy.
Yeah, stop gatekeeping, y'all.
Stop gatekeeping. All right, Joy, this has been great. I don't want to take up all your time on this Monday evening. Tell everybody where they can find you at Tap In with CoSpace.
Yes, so the best way to stay connected is to follow me on Instagram. It is _CoSpace. So _COSPACE. Look for the logo. And I answer all the DMs unless you're talking crazy.
Right,
but other than that, yeah, I answer all the DMs. So if you have a question or if you want to know anything from our Instagram, you can go to our website, buy your day pass. Any event we're talking about, it's always going to be on our events page. Even when other people have events here that's not my event, I still put it on the events page. So it's a one-stop shop. You can find everything you need to know, and find a way to work with me. I would love to work with you, together, supporting you. Find a way to make it happen. Reach out to me, slide in my DM.
Awesome. Thanks again, Joy. It's great getting to know you. I appreciate it. Congrats on all the success and everything you're building here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.